One of the original demonstrated capabilities of our ships was to be able to have weapons aim where our character was looking. This was implemented in the form of interactive mode, where a player can control the aim point of all the gimbaled weapons by moving the mouse around the screen, along with head tracking like track IR to aim gimbaled weapons separately from all other controls. The ability to use gimbaled weapons by joystick players has always been difficult without additional hardware such as a head tracker, although some players like Hydro Big Bang became very good at using head tracking and could dominate in combat. CIG have stated that they want auto gimbals to be a leg up for new players and for fixed weapons to be where the more experienced players gravitate. With the advent of auto gimbals, the requirement for the player to be pinpoint accurate with their aim has been drastically reduced at the expense of DPS. Regardless of whether backers believe this system to be good for the game or not, it is most likely here to stay. With that in mind, I believe that there are some legacy systems that are used to balance gimbaled weapons that need to be brought into line with the new auto gimbals for CIG to achieve their stated intent. At the same time, the suggestions that I have here could improve manned turrets as well. The current system for using gimbal mounts forces a decrease in weapon size by 1. For instance, a size 3 mount when fitted with a gimbal will only allow a size 2 weapon to be equipped. As most starter ships are equipped with size 1 weapons mounts, they are not capable of using gimbaled weapons at all. This flies in the face of the intention to make auto gimbals most useful to new players. Correcting this is as simple as removing gimbal mounts and instead giving all weapons the ability to gimbal integral to the weapon's design without the requirement for a separate mount. This will allow S1 weapon mounts to use gimbaled weapons in the same way as any other. To use the gimbals, the weapons would need to be unlocked by a toggle in the same way that gimbals are locked and unlocked now. By building the gimbal into the weapon, the -1 system would no longer be required. To bring a balance point to gimbaled weapons, some allowances should be made to give them a point of weakness. For example, a DPS reduction in line with the current size reduction. This could be in the form of direct damage reduction per projectile, a reduction in the rate of fire, an increase in the spread due to vibration from unlocking the weapon, a heat generation increase, a power draw increase, or any reasonable combination of the above. To differentiate between sized weapons and give players a reason to pick smaller weapons, they could have pros and cons like slew rates that could be inversely proportional to size, making smaller weapons faster to move and easier to aim. Larger weapons would slew more slowly, making them less attractive for auto gimbals. Vibration or jitter could be added to the gimbaled weapons to make long-range shots less accurate, encouraging new players to close with their opponent when engaging. The weapon's allowable range of gimbal slew could be inversely proportional to the weapon's size. Smaller weapons would have a larger cone of fire and larger weapons would have smaller ones. This again helps the new player in their starter ship hit the target while making larger weapons less effective with auto gimbals. The auto gimbal or interactive mode systems could be applied to manned turrets as well, making them easier to aim with. Turrets could have less vibration, making them better at range, as they already have to cope with not being in control of their attitude, making them hard to aim with in the first place. The current UI in 3.5 is not very intuitive to the player as to what they are required to do to bring the auto gimbals into play. One suggestion would be to replace the pip system when the auto gimbals are being used to a similar system to that which was shown in Elite Dangerous, where individual aim points are shown for each weapon. Once the player gets the target into the weapon firing arc as shown on the HUD, the weapons would aim as required and the individual weapon aim points represented on the target as they come into their firing solution. My proposed system would make the weapon mount sizing more intuitive, as the size of the mount would be the maximum able to be fitted, but if the player wishes, they can fit smaller weapons to gain different attributes. Ships with smaller weapons hardpoints can take advantage of gimbaled weapons, allowing them to be used on starter ships, benefiting the new player, making them more viable in combat. Using the same system in manned turrets is logical and could assist in some of the current shortfalls of turrets in general. With some or all of these suggestions, the current gimbaled weapon system and the new auto gimbals could be more interesting and fun, while also encouraging new players to move up to fixed weapons as their skill improves. This is in line with the intention stated by CIG and could also fix long-standing pitfalls of the current gimbal mount -1 system. Good hunting, pilots.